Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Thursday, April the 11th. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. Quick reminder that you can still enter my NHL confidence pool. Send me an email to clayemo@shaw.ca. That's CLAYIMOO@shaw.ca. I'll send you the details by the end of today, and then you have until tomorrow, 4 p.m., Friday at 4 p.m., to submit your picks. So lots of time to join still. And speaking of playoffs, I didn't do so well in my own playoff predictions. I went 0 for 5 last night. All 5 teams that I picked, they lost. Now, granted, it's not a game-by-game pick it, game-by-game sort of thing. But in my bracket pool, the 5 teams that I picked all lost last night. So hopefully Calgary, Boston, or Washington Capitals, at least one of them will win, so I don't go 0 for 8 in game ones. That would be absolutely horrible. And one other thing, if you listen to the PAP Cast by Jeff Pettersson, Jason Botchford, they spent 3 or 4 minutes talking about me and my little exchange with Jeff Pettersson on Monday night about his question to Louis Eriksson at their year-end press conference. Kind of a fun listen if you want to check that out as well. Oh, and one other thing, was part of a massive collab by my good friend Mike from back east. He put together a collab of about 8 or 9 of us hockey vloggers talking about which NHL veteran who hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet, which hockey veteran would you love to see a Stanley Cup, win a Stanley Cup before they retire. I went with good old faithful Roberto Luongo. Well, that's a big truck. I went with Roberto Luongo. One other guy did as well. But make sure you check out his video. I'll link it below. A lot of good hockey vloggers in there. I encourage you to subscribe to all of them and learn about who they pick. There's a Joe Thornton in there. There's a Henrik Lundqvist in there. 2 Luongos and so on and so forth. So make sure you check out that video. And Mike, thanks for having me on to that. Okay, let's get to what I'm going to be doing for the next month or so. I'm going to be giving letter grades, year-end letter grades to every Canucks player who played on the main roster. And today I want to start out with Elias Pettersson. He's our rookie sensation. He's going to win the Calder Trophy. He set the Canucks record for most points by a rookie, breaking the record held by both Pavel Bure and Ivan Halinka. And he won Rookie of the Month. And he single-handedly probably gave Canucks fans hope this year. A reason to watch games, maybe sped up the rebuild by a year, like I've been saying. So all these things. He's going to win the Calder. He won Rookie of the Month. He broke the Canucks rookie record, and he's given Canucks fans hope. All that to say, I'm giving Elias Pettersson an A. Not an A+, not an A-, and I know many of you on Twitter have been going back and forth already about should it be an A+ versus an A, should it be an A versus an A-. I think you'd agree with me. If you're in high school still or in university, you'd take an A. A+ would be icing on the cake, but I think an A is pretty good. I know I would take an A, especially the way I failed on my accounting exams 25 years ago or 20 years ago. But yes, I'm giving Elias Pettersson an A. I would give him an A+, if he didn't tail off a little bit. Some of it's not his fault, or maybe if he played a few more games. But really, I'm really splitting hairs here. And I was actually thinking about A- as well because of the way he tailed off. But when you look at the overall picture, having such a great rookie season, I think an A is an appropriate mark. So let's talk objectively about some of his stats. He had 66 points in 71 games, so just under points per game. That's 28 goals and 38 assists to make up those 66 points. He only played 71 of those 82 games. He missed the 11 games were because of those 2 injuries. The concussion from Mike Matheson at the start of the year, and then the knee injury when he got tangled up with Kotkaniemi of the Montreal Canadiens, and that was in January. So that's why he missed, I think there was 6 games and 5 games respectively, and those add up to the 11 games he missed. So 66 points in 71 games, led all rookies in scoring by a landslide, led Canucks in scoring, just beating out Bo Horvat and Brock Besser. So Elias Pettersson, top scorer in the league when it comes to rookies, top scorer on the Vancouver Canucks. A couple other stats that are interesting. He had 7 game-winning goals. That's an MVP type like stat. 7 game-winning goals, helping the Canucks get an extra point or 2. So 7 of those game-winning goals, 7 of his 28. That's very impressive. 25% of them. As well, he had a 19.4 shooting percentage, which is very high, right? The average in the league, it certainly isn't that high. Good shooters will get in the 15, 16, 17s. So 19.4 is very high, and obviously he started off the year really well when he had 10 goals in his first 10 games. And then one stat that maybe isn't so good, he only had a 41% face-off percentage. And that's something he's going to need to work on, right? As he gets older and he gets stronger and he gets more experience in the league, playing against some really tough and crafty centers in this league. But 41% isn't good. And that means you're chasing the puck more than you are possessing it. Whether it's on a power play, usually he didn't take the power play draw, that was Horvat. But when he's, out on the ice, that means they're not starting with the puck as much as you want them to. And you want Pettersson and Besser to start with the puck. In fact, speaking of Besser, was taking a lot of the face-offs in the last 2 months of the season when him and Pettersson were on the ice, whether that's a strong side, weak side thing, or maybe Pettersson was just feeling more confident in his face-offs, whatever it may be. That's a number that I think Pettersson will want to improve on. What else? We know offensively how good he is. He's got a wicked snapshot, a wicked slap shot, and a wicked wrist shot. He's got a really, really good shot, and we want to see him get the shot off more in the last 2 months of the season. He's a good passer, a decent skater. He's not the fastest skater ever. I know some people joke around. He looks like he's like a kid on his skates, kind of wobbling a little bit. So he's not the fastest skater ever. And sometimes he gets knocked off his feet. Even we see him on the ice a little bit, whether on offense or defense, but nothing that I'm concerned with. We know his hockey IQ is brilliant. I'd give him an A+ in his hockey IQ and his vision for sure. And you need smart, fast players that can think very quickly playing with them. On defense, he was good. He wasn't awesome, but he was good. He really set an example the way he back checked, the way he stick checked, the way he poke checked, and really, really making up deficiencies, making up gaps in the neutral zone, whether it's his giveaway or a giveaway from another player. Really back checking, really setting an example for his teammates, especially in the first half of the season. Now, I think the only thing for me that keeps me from giving him an A+ as opposed to A was the way he tailed off in the second half of the season. And it wasn't a tail off where he was bad or anything like that, but compared to the way he started off the season, it was a bit of a tail off, and the numbers bear that out, which I'll get to in a second. It's kind of interesting perspective. Imagine if he started slow, but then ended the season off. Imagine if his two halves of the season were reversed and he started slow, but ended off the season very well, then maybe I'd be inclined to give him an A+, and maybe even, a lot more, it would change the perspective on Pettersson a little bit. But needless to say, an A is a good mark. And you on Twitter, I put this up on Twitter, got almost 600 votes in 3 hours. And 44% of you said give him an A+, 40% of you getting an A, 11% saying A-, and 5% saying B+. Obviously, you can only put 4 options on Twitter. I'm not going to go lower than a B+. So 44 A+, 40 A, 11 A-, 5 B+. So 84%, 44 plus 40, 84% of you are giving him either an A+ or an A. I think the numbers bear out the way that he even admitted in his year-end post-conference that he got tired and he was getting used to playing every second night and an 82-game season, and the fact that you're not practicing much, but you're playing, like I said, sometimes 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 or every second night, and his stats bear that out. In October, he had 7 goals and 3 assists, 10 points in 8 games. In November, it was 12 points in 14 games. In December, he had 17 points in 14 games. Pretty awesome. And in January, although he got injured, he still had 6 points in 4 games leading into the All-Star break. So, in the months of October, November, December, January, he had 45 points in 40 games. Obviously, better than points per game average. However, in February, he went 11 points in 14 games. In March, he only went 9 points in 14 games, including only 1 goal. And April, only 3 games, and he had 1 goal in the month of April. So for the last 3 months of the season, he only had 21 points in 31 games. So there's empirical evidence of his drop-off a little bit. Remember, the first 4 months, 45 points in 40 games, better than a point per game average. The last 3 months of the season, only 21 points in 31 games, basically a .66, 2/3 points per game average. So there was a tail off, and we know why. Aside from fatigue and the rigors of a long season, longer than he's ever played, teams were better able to scout him. So they were able to put their best defensive pair up against Pettersson and Besser. They were able to put their best checking forward, if they wanted to, their best checking line up against Pettersson and Besser. And of course, the power play was struggling a little bit. It picked up a little bit near the end of the year, but that was mostly the second power play unit. The power play unit was struggling, a place where you could get easier points. I won't say easy points, but it's easier to get points. If that's struggling, then Pettersson's also not getting points there. So I think there's a myriad of factors of why he did slow down. None of them his fault, but the empirical evidence suggests that he did tail off February, March, and April. And you look at the hot start, he had 19 goals in his first 36 games. 19 goals in 36. So he's on pace for a 40-45 goal season before he tailed off a little bit. So that's why I give him an A. not an A plus, but A is still very good. Like I said, I know I would take an A. I'm sure you guys would take an A as well. So I give him an A for his awesome offensive his output this year. I give him an A for his good work defensively. I give him an A for the way he's going to win the Calder Trophy, the way he won Rookie of the Month, the way he set the season record for most points by a Canucks rookie, and the way that he brought hope and excitement to the Vancouver Canucks fan base. You look at off the ice too, along with the hope. You know, he was good with the media, playful with the media. He got more comfortable with the media as the year went on. We know about his death stare and everything like that. But I think he's certainly a go-to guy in the locker room. I've never heard of him brushing off an interview or being rude to reporters. Maybe he takes a second to interpret the question or to come up with the right words. I know that's a thing too, right? Growing up in Sweden, he's trying to think of the right words, the proper way to express exactly what he's thinking. But you can't blame him for that either. So many, many good things. And I think a mark of A is nothing to complain about. Canucks fans would love your feedback below. Am I being too harsh somehow? Am I being too lax? What would you give Elias Pettersson? What letter grade would you give him? And maybe give a reason or two why, and whether or not you agree or disagree with my assessment. Leave a comment below. I love to read, react, and reply. I expect a lot of feedback to this video, especially if the feedback on Twitter has been any sort of indication. The people going back and forth about what letter grade to give him. But it's an A for me. Love to know. Love to hear from you. Subscribe to this video. Got too excited there. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to. Like this video if you'd like to. Throughout the next month, I'll be going through the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to do the forwards first, then the D, and then their goalies, and then the coach, and then the management. So it'll give us some content to pass the time as we prepare for the draft in a couple months, as we prepare for free agency just after that, and any off-season news. Of course, I'll certainly update you guys on that. Contract extensions, declines of extensions, whatever it may be, arbitration. We'll have a lot to talk about over the next 3 months or so. All right, thanks again for watching. Leave a comment below. I want to hear what you have to say. What letter grade would you give Elias Pettersson? Have a great day. I stuttered there because should I still say go Canucks go even though they're not playing? Of course. God bless and go Canucks go.